Thank you very much, Law. Welcome to the LEC post-game lobby after Week 7. I'm Quickshot, joined by Amazing. We'll be waiting for Andre Guilhoto from Origin to join us in just a few minutes. Unfortunately, Attila will not be joining us for this one. Before we get Andre here, Amazing, what's your take on the game? I mean, it looked pretty clean, pretty controlled from Origin start to finish.
I think what the Moose said before the game was kind of true. If you play controlled against Vitality and you deny the early game plays, especially towards the top side of the map, the game becomes so different against them because they keep repeating the same moves because that's what they're obviously practicing, and they are stuck in a repeat cycle and nothing's working, and then basically you just take over the game because the other lanes outscale.
It must make you a little bit happy to see a team win in a controlled manner against Vitality, and the reason I say